This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com. Thanks for downloading Grilled by the Staff Canteen. I'm Cara, editor of the Staff Canteen, and in this episode I talked to Great British Menu finalist Roberta Hall-McCarron. She's from Edinburgh's The Little Chartroom. She talks about how the thought of cooking on TV made her feel physically sick, but once she was in the competition she definitely wanted to win. We also discuss how she has reacted to lockdown, diversifying her business to include an online shop, and how she was lucky to have money to one side which was intended for a refurb. Like everyone, she's treading water, but is hopeful that with the continued government support and hopefully the success of the National Time Out campaign, they will be fine.
So this is Grilled, and thank you for agreeing to do it. So I think to start with, it would be good to talk about Great British Menu. As obviously we're going into the final week of the heats and then finals week next week, isn't it? So
yes.
Great. It probably feels like a lifetime ago when you filmed it, but how was it, and why did you want to take part?
It was amazing. I was very nervous about doing it. To be honest, if somebody had said to me maybe a year ago, "Oh, you're going to be on Great British Menu next year," I would have told them, "Don't be silly. I would never do anything like that." Because it's, you really are putting yourself out there, and it did kind of make me feel a little bit physically sick to think of doing something like that. Because I'm quite comfortable in my own restaurant, but to suddenly be thrown into a competition scenario, especially on TV, it's quite daunting.
It's out of your comfort zone, right?
Completely out of my comfort zone. And, I think we're all very happy and humble in our comfort zone. So yeah, it was a big step for me to take. But I got the opportunity, and to be completely honest, I did actually say no to them at first. But they're quite persistent and sort of talked me around, and then you have to go through a series of different sort of interviews and whatnot before you actually do get to cook on the telly. And I suddenly sort of found myself actually fighting for myself. So I realized deep down there was a part of me that did want to actually do this. And I think, for myself, proved to myself that I was able to do it. And it was a roller coaster.
I can imagine. There were some highs and some lows.
Yes, it is, I think, to this day, one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's really difficult to explain. It's just different to anything that you do. Not only are we're very used to cooking under pressure. We do that every single time we do a service, but suddenly thrown into a very different kitchen, cooking against people, which I've not done that much of. I haven't done very many competitions. But also knowing that you're getting filmed, and it is tricky. The cameras they do get in the way, and there is a little bit of a stop-start kind of scenario, but you're still on the time constraints. So there's a lot of pressures, but it was great as well. I loved it. I found it fascinating, sort of learning how television's made, and the crew that they've got are just amazing. They're so supportive and encouraging, and they were just a lovely bunch of people to be around every day. And I met lots of lovely people.
Do they encourage you to do things that are more interesting on the telly than maybe if you're just head down being a chef?
I'm not going to lie. Yeah, they definitely do. At the end of the day, I guess it is a television show, isn't it? So it's got to be interesting to the viewer. And one of the things that you could probably see perhaps from watching my week that I maybe struggled with was the sort of the more prop side of things and bringing the fun to the food. My food was quite technically driven. I was really thinking about the flavors, obviously, the things that are important to a dish in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so when after doing that week and taking a step back and also actually watching it again, I realized I should have perhaps maybe approached it in a slightly different manner and really thought outside the box a bit more. But it was just a really, really great learning curve for that. And it was good fun to try and, because you get if you get through to judge chambers, you get a few days to or you get a day pretty much to try and tweak things to make your dishes better for the judges. And then obviously you get a bit more time for when you go to do finals. So there are a few I didn't change too much, but there are a few changes coming up with in the finals. Sorry.
So how did it feel getting into finals week? Because obviously that's where you want to go. I know you probably started thinking I just want to get through it, and then you obviously the further you get, the more you probably want to be in that final. So how did that feel?
Again, amazing. The initial thing was just make it past the fish course, because you spend it's quite the competition obviously got a lot harder in some ways this year with there being 4 chefs and with one of you being knocked out after the fish, and knowing that you've spent perhaps 4 or 5 months practicing dishes and not even being able to show them all would be absolutely heartbreaking. So first aim was get past fish first, and then judges chambers, and then and as each day went past, and as I got the scores and everything was going quite well, apart from the main course that was brutal but fair. I really wanted to get to the final, and it was quite I can't explain, just such an amazing, such an achievement to get to the final, and quite surreal in some ways, but just amazing.
I mean, we can't talk about finals week too much really, because this will go out
secret
on Monday, and that won't be aired, but
I'll be in trouble.
Was the pressure even more when you get to finals week, or had you kind of relaxed into it a bit by then?
It's equally both. I mean, you've definitely relaxed now that you know the kitchen, the setup, how everything works, what to expect, because before I was just going into the unknown. I know how where the cameras are going to be, how everything, just you have a much better understanding of how everything works. But then you're amongst the best. You're cooking off against the best person of each region, so the pressure is there. You're in with the the best of the best, so there is definitely a lot more pressure there as well.
I can definitely imagine. So why do you think it's so popular, Roberta? Why do you think the public love it so much?
I think it's a competition that I think the sort of the chefs that are at the top of their game or become the best chefs in the UK, they've all been on it, and I think you naturally gravitate towards that, and to have those chefs that took part in the competition and got to the banquet come back and judge you, to know that you're getting judged by some of the best chefs in the UK, is to get their feedback and face to face is quite an amazing and unique experience. And I think the prop side of things is quite good fun. You get to be creative. I think that's what attracts people. I know it's my favorite. I'm not going. It might sound a bit biased, but it's my favorite cooking show to watch on telly. And I like the whole setup that they have. It's you've got one island in the middle of the kitchen where everyone cooks around, and that's what a real kitchen is like. There's a lot of other cooking shows, you've got your own little station, which isn't true to what a normal functioning kitchen is like. This one's, and they really encourage teamwork as well, which I love, because that's what's true to a normal kitchen. And so I think it just it represents a lot more of what actually goes on in kitchens and what's relevant and whatnot.
I mean, obviously kitchens are non-existent at the minute, which is very, very sad. So I suppose that leads me on to my next question is, are you quite disappointed that this is airing now whilst everyone's on lockdown? Because a lot of the appeal of going on Great British Menu and getting out of your comfort zone is the fact that obviously you get a raising of your profile, bombs on seats in the restaurant. So is it a bit disappointing that this is happening now?
I'm not going to lie, it is disappointing. You're absolutely right. We do definitely see a little surge in bookings and whatnot. Well, that's what I'm told anyway. And we were really hoping and looking forward to that. But it's a horrible situation that we're in, but everyone's in this situation, and there's nothing that we can do about it. And I guess the plus from this situation is that I got to watch it in real time.
Yeah.
Whereas normally I would have watched it on playback. So
Yeah.
that's one slight small sort of positive. And it was really nice watching it just with my husband, but it was nice just to be able to watch it and, you know, just respond to all the lovely messages that I got through from friends and family. And the other positive is, I guess, is that we, like I say, we're all in the same situation, but I'm still getting a little bit of press about, so many restaurants are, you know, potentially are going to get a little bit forgotten about. I guess we're still in people's minds because I have been on telly, and so hopefully by the time that all of this is done, people might still remember us because I popped up kind of, you know, on telly for a bit. So it's the small positive. And we do you know what, we left our bookings open for the end of the year, which might be ambitious, I'm not sure. And we did, whilst the show was airing, we have had quite a few bookings come in anyway. So we have, I think, reaped some of the rewards from it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good thing. And so let's talk about, it's unavoidable, we will have to talk about this. Obviously, a little Chartroom. How has this situation affected you guys? And, you know, I've talked a lot with chefs and people in the industry about, you know, that initial blow and then what's happened so far, and now we're all in limbo. But how are you feeling about kind of coming out of it? And do you feel quite confident that you're going to be okay, or is it still a bit nail biting, a bit not really sure?
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, yeah, I think there is definitely a sense of uncertainty. In some way, we're fortunate in the way that we're small, so we have very little overheads. We you know, our rent isn't too high, and actually we are having we've got a good relationship with our landlord, and I think we're paying a quarter of our rent just now for a certain amount of time. Obviously that'll need to be paid back in the future, but we are getting a little bit of a holiday from it. Also, another fortunate thing is that we had actually planned to do a renovation of our kitchen in January, and had money put aside for that. And so, I mean, that renovation isn't going to happen. That's definitely getting put on hold.
Yeah.
But the money that we had for that is like a little cushion for us just now, which is helping us through, which is making this less nail biting. Obviously the future is still really uncertain, and it's still it's a really, really scary time. But we're confident that we will make it through, and we're still a very young business. I mean, it's coming up to its second year in June, and we've had a really good start, a really good run. We've built up a lot of momentum. We want to keep that going, and you know, we've put too much in for it to all just to fall away. So no, we're fairly determined to keep things going.
Yeah,
as best we can. Yeah.
And so what for you would be the best kind of exit strategy for hospitality? What in your mind would you think that that's manageable, we can do that?
Yeah, I guess obviously that the furlough scheme has been an amazing help, and that I think is running until the end of June. That's obviously just allowed us to keep all of our staff on, and we've furloughed all of our staff. We currently aren't, and we have started doing sort of like a takeaway delivery menu where you've got food that's getting delivered cold, and it just needs a few little things to be finished. Everything's pretty much ready to go, but you just need to maybe reheat something or pop something in the oven just to finish everything off.
Yeah.
And our next plan is we're in the process of setting up an online shop, where we're going to be preparing some sort of food items that can be jarred or bottled up that are quite true to what we do at the little Chartroom. Quite a few things that we have on, because we do brunch on a Sunday, so quite a few products that we do from the brunch menu we think we can definitely transfer into an online shop sort of thing, and that's also a plan for in the near future. But I think with the plan, I mean, I think this might be something that you might bring up as well, but the national timeout proposal, that could be, it's a little bit, I mean, I don't know everything about it. I don't know if it's a case of you get I think the plan is to have 9 months of paying no rent, and landlords also will pay, won't have any mortgages to pay. If that's the case, are we allowed to trade? That's a sort of a question that's unanswered within that proposal, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think it's great to have that time out, but you want to. I don't want to sit at home for 9 months. I want to continue trading. I know that we wouldn't be able to continue trading at full capacity because we're doing what we're doing right now. We're obviously not making anywhere near as much money as we were when we had a full restaurant.
Yeah, of course.
And so yeah, there's a few unanswered sort of questions with regards to that. But ideal world, I guess. And again, I know the government can't continue the furlough because they can't continue paying 80% of everyone's wages. That's just suicide. But maybe if they were able to pay, say, 40%, and we were able to bring our staff back in a part-time capacity where we can social distance within the premises, and continue to do some, maybe do some sort of takeaway, or have people seated in the socially distanced capacity, then I think we would be able to function as a restaurant, as a delivery service, and we'd be able to keep as long as we're treading water and can sort of pay the staff a little bit, everyone can just survive for the 9 months, year time that we need for them to create the vaccines. Then that's my hope, that we still get a little bit of financial support to cover the time before we're able to fully go back to being a fully operational restaurant. Because we only have 18 seats. It's a really small restaurant, so we had a chat myself and my husband had a chat the other day about how many people we think we could have in at one time, and it's only 8 people. We would maybe do 2 sittings, which is 16 covers. That's not enough for us to operate how we were before. So yeah, we are looking at what would be a possible scenario, basically.
Yeah, I mean, to go down to 8 covers.
Yeah, it's a wee bit.
Yeah.
Because we average. I mean, right now we would, or before this all happened, we would do sort of midweek. We would do probably about 25 covers on a night. Sort of Wednesday, Thursday night, and then Friday night we're hitting about sort of 31, 32. I think the busiest we've ever been was maybe 36 covers, and then it's really quite difficult to actually do more than that. So it is a massive drop. So we, I hate to say it, but we wouldn't be able to offer all of our staff the full-time hours that they had prior to this. So therefore we would need some sort of support, and otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It's a really scary outcome. Thinking how many people potentially could become unemployed, and how that there are some restaurants that may not survive this, and it's just shocking, and it's really quite difficult to get your head around in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, because going back to just yourselves, your whole business model will rely on you having a certain amount of covers. So having to instantly cut that down for social distancing is, I mean, I'm assuming you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what you can and can't afford to do, which is horrible, like you said, because you're such a new business and everything's going so well. So yeah, that must be like quite frightening. And then I know you've mentioned furlough, and obviously getting it would be nice for it to continue in some capacity, but what happens if it's just, that's it, we're back to work, government can't do that anymore?
Then I think, just like you said, we would need to really look at what we can make work just to keep the business going. I hate to say it, but I think we wouldn't be able to keep all of our staff on. We managed to keep, I mean, we have quite a small team anyway, because it is a very, very small restaurant. But the other issue that you've got to think about is that, and not even just with us, I think with probably quite a lot of restaurants, kitchens generally are very small. And so to observe the 2 meter social distancing rule is quite tricky, like I say, especially in my kitchen. So yeah, unfortunately, I think I would have to let some staff go. And I mean, right now, it's just myself and my husband that's doing all the food. And Sean, he is not a chef at all.
He's not.
No, he is Mr. Front of House. He's doing amazingly well, though. He doesn't give himself enough credit, and he is he's a great sous chef. So yeah, we would need to jiggle things around, and I mean, I want to keep everyone on. I would potentially need to speak to the staff. I think another answer would be to reduce wages, unfortunately, but I think what our aim right now is to keep the business going to some capacity, so that there's hopefully a business for them to come back to. Once everything does calm down, that's the main aim, is like just keep something going so that they don't have nothing to come back. Nothing to come back to. And if unfortunately we get to that situation where we do have to let someone go, then that will be the horrid scenario. But we are going to try and do everything that we can to keep everyone on, and like I say, just to keep sort of our heads above water.
Yeah, I mean, initially going into this, I think everyone was pretty terrified, but then as it's kind of calmed and settled, and there's a bit of help, it's kind of calmed a little bit. But then now everyone's looking to coming out, and I think that's what the biggest worry is how do we come out of this and function and make money? So
no, yeah, absolutely. I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there, where there was everyone was scared, then we got the support, and now we sort of feel a little bit like we're back where we were before. But I think one thing that's a positive to take from this is how amazing I think the hospitality industry has kind of rallied together and is supporting each other. I've had a lot of feeling of a community sort of sense of support, and just I think across, if you're on, you go on social media, everyone's just really adapting, and they're changing their business to takeaways and deliver at home, and everyone's doing their little bit, and they're all really just obviously just trying to survive themselves, but I think it's just quite, I don't know, I find it really quite endearing, quite positive, just seeing how people can adapt, can change. And it's been kind of in some ways quite in good fun, sort of trying to think of ideas that would to create the restaurant experience at home for your loyal guests. And
I mean, it's typical chef behaviour, isn't it? You can't sit still.
Yeah.
So I think the novelty wore off pretty quickly.
3 weeks in, I was like, right, I'm getting fat, and I need to start doing something, because this is not good. So back to work, and I mean, me and my husband, it's our business, so it's a fairly common topic of what should we do now, sort of thing.
What's the mood in the city, Roberta? Because I know obviously the Edinburgh Festival's being cancelled, hasn't it? Which is really sad.
Yeah.
So what's the kind of vibe among the public and obviously restaurants within the city?
I mean, everyone that I've sort of been speaking to is just is feeling positive, is worried, but also feeling positive. And there are some businesses that are thriving from this. I worked at a bakery before I opened the restaurant, and they're doing really well because their food is extremely transferable, and they've set up an online shop. But they've actually, there's a few restaurants that have changed from obviously being a restaurant to doing a sort of buying in lots of, almost like in a really fancy essentials shop, where they're buying in different products from their own suppliers and selling them through the restaurant in a sort of food box form. And the bakery is getting wholesale from them for them to then sell their bread through these sort of food boxes packages as well. So I think the general consensus or the general feeling for me is it's quite positive. Yeah, of course everyone's scared, everyone's worried, but everyone's getting quite excited. Everyone's trying to adapt and make takeaway food, and the feeling amongst our guests that we did some deliveries last week, and everyone's just really excited about the fact that they're getting their favorite restaurant food at home. I think again, like that kind of the pattern when everything kicked off was suddenly everyone was cooking at home and was really enjoying trying things out. think everyone's a bit fed up of cooking at home now, and they're really, really, really missing the restaurants. And now there's lots of restaurants that are starting, really, especially in Edinburgh, actually, are starting to do the takeaway, and you can see the excitement in the response with how quickly they're all selling out. So yeah, no, the general consensus is positive. It was a big blow when we heard that the festival was cancelled, because it brings so much to Edinburgh. It's one of our biggest tourist attractions. There are some restaurants that use that month as a way of supporting themselves for the year. So it is a blow, and even just it will affect the vibe and the atmosphere, because it's such an electric, kind of amazing atmosphere when the festival does set up in Edinburgh. So I think when August comes and we don't have that, that's going to be quite a surreal and quite a somber month. But we're in a strange time anyway, so I think we just have to keep plowing on through and looking to the future and looking to the next thing.
It doesn't feel real a lot of the time, does it? It's a very strange feeling. I mean, obviously we've got a briefing coming up on Sunday from the Prime Minister about exit strategy. So obviously this doesn't go out till Monday. So hopefully there'll be some positives from that on Sunday. But
great.
What have you learned, if anything, about your business kind of in this time, which you'll take forward out of lockdown? Do you think? Have you kind of reassessed anything, or had a thought, this needs to change? Because obviously what we do have is a lot of time, so I'm sure you've thought hard about a lot of things you don't normally have the chance to think about.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think it's going to be, once everything, fingers crossed, once everything goes back to normal, I think we are excuse me, I think it's going to be a different world. The hospitality industry will have taken a huge knock, and it won't be the same. We're not going to just bounce back to what it was prior to this. And I think, what have I learned? I think I would like to, I'm quite excited about the kind of online shop aspect of things that we're going to be setting up. And that's something that I quite like to continue. I mean, I quite like the idea of having a little shop that's maybe part of the restaurant or near to the restaurant, that's selling our, stuff that we make that people love to eat. They're definitely not essential items. They're more luxurious. But I think that's possibly something that could continue on once everything has gone back to normal, because I think people do like to buy nice things that they can get from their favorite restaurants and take them home and be able to enjoy them at home. I guess the one thing to take into consideration is making sure that it's approachable and affordable, which is a reflection of the restaurant as well, because that's kind of what we pitch ourselves at. And I think it's going to take a long time for restaurants to get back to where they were, unfortunately. And I don't know, I can't wait for restaurants to open again, because I eat out a lot.
No, me too. I never thought that I would I'd taken for granted the ability to go to a bar or a restaurant or even just the pub. So
or a coffee shop to get a decent coffee. The tiny little things that you really suddenly really, really miss.
One thing I don't know if it's kind of crossed your mind at all, and it's something that we have done a piece on, it is the guides this year, so accolades. So what do you think, is there a place for them this year, or do you think as restaurants and chefs who again you do rely on the positives that come out of being in those, do you think maybe it would be better to wait till next year, or I don't know, how do you think about the guides?
I think there's an argument for both sides of that, if that makes sense. I think there will be lots of businesses that have, after the guides come out last year or whatever, new businesses, they're really pushing hard. They want to there's certain ones that we all want to get into, that's for sure. And they've worked, really, really pushed hard for 6 months to to get the accolades and get into those guides, because it does help your business. It's a really good platform for people to pick, and when they're choosing places to go to. But then there's the other side of the argument where, is it creditable because they've only been judged perhaps for half of the year? What about, are they consistent enough to be allowed to go into the guides? It's a really tricky one. And I mean, there's so many things that have been put on hold. We had lots of things lined up this year that have been put on hold until next year. And the general consensus does seem to be, right, just cancel it for this year. Let's just do it next year.
Yeah, I was going to say, this year is just a write-off.
It's really, I mean, it's so sad, but I think that does seem to be just where everyone's going, and hopefully we can just sort of pick things up again, I guess, when everything does come back together. I mean, another thing to look at, it's not quite the guides thing, but obviously, there's all the food critics that do reviews. And I think it's been quite entertaining, quite funny how Marina Loughlin has been reviewing the takeaway food. Yeah. And that's been sort of quite a nice thing to continue on doing, and good for restaurants to continually get some press and whatnot, albeit if it's positive, I suppose. But yeah, no, I'm a little bit torn with that one. And I guess we're just in such an area of uncertainty right now that it's difficult to really make any sound decisions about anything, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you seem pretty positive, which is, I'm sure that's probably just your normal personality trait anyway, to think about those things. So I think it's great to hear that kind of positivity in your voice, and I hope that you can get your refurb, because I'm sure you were so excited about that. Hopefully next year you can get that done. And what was the aim of that? Was that is it kitchen, restaurant? Was it to make it bigger? What were you well,
the idea, I mean, like it's in the title of our restaurant. I mean, we're in such a small space, and the kitchen is so tiny. We actually, when we got the site, it was originally, well, I think years ago, it was originally 2 shop fronts, where part of the walls got knocked down, so you've got a kind of open room. We made one half just the restaurant part, where you've got tables where you sat at, and then the other half we put a bar countertop in, where there's 4 stools, and part of the kitchen was just beyond that, and it was where the cold starters and desserts were plated up. And you'd sit and you could watch the chefs working. Just behind that, where the chefs are, is a wall, and the kitchen is then behind that, the hot kitchen, sorry. And on that wall, it's where we do all the drinks, we've got the bar, etc. The plan was to knock that wall down into the kitchen and open the entire thing up, and move where the cold starter and dessert is, move it into, have one freestanding island in the kitchen, and everything hot and cold food would all get dressed around that one island. And it would just, because there's a little bit of separation, I find, with because we have such a small team in a small space, there's always one person just out on the front plating up by themselves. And I really wanted to just bring more of a everyone working together vibe, and I think the flow as well would be a lot better. And so the dream was to knock that wall down and just open everything up, so that the whole room could see everything into the kitchen, because I think that's the kind of direction that kitchens are going in a little bit. People want to see what's going on, they want to get involved, they want to have a bit of interaction, and it would just make the space better for us in the kitchen as well.
Well, it sounds amazing. So hopefully,
fingers crossed. Yeah.
Hopefully, next time I talk to you,
yes,
that will be back in place, and you'll have a plan for that going forward. So
yeah.
Okay, well, brilliant. Thank you so much for talking to me, Roberta. And
no, thank you.
Fingers crossed for some positive news, and to start to come out of this, and you can start actually making some plans. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So
it really would. Yeah,
I know you already know, but good luck for finals week as well.
The nerve-wrackingness of watching it.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone will be giving you lots of support, and So thank you very much for having.
No, thank you.
Okay,
it was great to chat. Thanks, Cara.
All right, thanks, Roberta. Speak to you soon.
We hope you enjoyed this interview, and if you have any comments, feel free to tweet us or comment on the post. We're making all of our interviews available to download. And finally, if you like what we do, whether it's our podcast or our videos or even our features, please head over to our Patreon page and support us there. This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.